Hello.
Hello. Hello,
Hi.
good afternoon.
Hi. How are you today?
Very good, very good. How are you?
Good. Good.
Look, so first of all, thank you very much for being available for this call. And just by a way of introduction, I work at a London-based credit hedge fund. So we invest in high-yield bonds and corporate loans, mostly across EMEA region. And one of the names that I looked at for about 3 years now, really, between on and off, is Avanti. So I spent some time on other satellite names as well. So looked at the Intelsat for all this, hype of them being acquired or not being acquired, and them surviving or not. So we haven't really done anything on it, but I did look at Avanti as well. Do you know the company? Do you know Avanti?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I follow them very well. I mean, very closely over the last several years, as I do have, mostly all satellite operators. But Avanti, I have been following very closely. Yeah.
Right. So look, obviously the company has been through, I think, 3 or 4 restructurings over the last 2 years. They changed the management. They finally launched Hylas 4. But when I look at their financials, well, there's no improvement. Actually, there's a deterioration in both top line and the EBITDA. Despite them announcing that they are winning more contracts, but that yet fails to translate into any improvement in the results. So really, what I'm trying to understand is, look, I'm actually meeting the management next week, right? So I thought it would be very helpful to have a few calls before that. Just to get a bit of an update, right? So I had a lot of calls. I mean that in 2016, I think that the bottom line was that this pure play KA proposition was very difficult for them to get any traction on, especially in their target market in Africa. So for telecom it was difficult to switch, and pretty much for everyone it's difficult to switch, and no one really cares that much about KA. And definitely they had very very tough time getting anywhere to the target price of 2,000 per megahertz per month. And the pricing ended up, I think, back then it was about a half of this number, and of course things could have traced even lower. So it was very helpful to hear your views on whether the Hylas 4 is changing anything, or what they can do to ever get to to ever get to being a sustainable business on a standalone basis, and if this is impossible, what is the future, right? So of course, it would be either selling the entire business or selling the assets, and of course, then the question is who would be realistically interested, and how would potential buyers think about the valuation?
Sure, we're glad to address those issues in this conversation. So how do you want me to start? I wrote down a few things that you indicated were of interest, and we can start with that, or you can ask me a specific question and respond to it as we go through.
No, let's maybe start with the questions I already indicated, and then I can interject as we go along.
Okay, so it appears as though, to me anyway, from following this company very closely, your observation in 2016 is still true, namely that a pure KA play. First of all, I'm not sure what pure KA means. It means that you have KA and nothing else. And from the very beginning, I thought that was I hesitate to use the word silly, but that's a silly really differentiation. If anything, it's a negative differentiation. Because I see the competitors that can approach a customer and they can solve the customer's problem with any type of frequency capacity, depending on the particular need of the customer. And if you go in and you say, I have only KA band, if you are lucky enough and that's exactly what they need for their particular network, then that's what it is. If they have a broad